Hello and welcome to the debate. I'm your host Sana Maqbool with you at PTV World. In today's show, we're going to be taking a look at two important stories. The first is with reference to regional developments, particularly, of course, in the context of the neighborhood in India and, of course, in the aftermath of the very tragic and unfortunate incident in Pahalgam, which Pakistan, of course, has condemned and expressed condolences over as well, in which a number of tourists have been targeted and who lost their lives, including an Indian naval officer in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And this is, of course, very, very integral and important to the kind of situation that already exists in the occupied valley, and in the ways that this is being converted and distorted into a false propaganda against Pakistan, with the result of course, a lot of actions that have been taking place, in the reports of which have been coming out, including, of course, the Indus Water Treaty and other such actions regarding different diplomatic channels as well that seem to have been cut off. And these decisions, of course, also point towards the possibility of a false flag operation as well, which Pakistan, of course, has responded to previously in the past in 2019 as well, and of course is fully prepared to thwart this time around as well. But of course, what is the context and the reasoning behind these occurrences, the timings of these, with reference to, of course, the US Vice President's visit to India, and in the ways that, of course, this developing relationship is taking place with the US and then, of course, Pakistan in the region, and the kind of context that is being built with this false propaganda by India and the BJP government, and the result of which, with regards to the kind of measures that we've seen coming in, and then, of course, Pakistan's response to that will be a very important aspect in the coming days and months as we continue to see the evolving situation. So we're going to be focusing on that in our first segment of the show today. Our next one is going to be taking a look at Pakistan's economic outlook, which the IMF in its report has downgraded from 3 to 2.6% for the current fiscal year and 3.6% for the next fiscal year. And this is, of course, very, very important in terms of the ways that this actually moves forward and how this is going to, of course, impact Pakistan and how we're going to be taking over this entire context, and of course in the ways that this is going to particularly factor in the US tariffs that Pakistan has seen, and so the way forward for that. That will be our focus in the second segment of the show today. For this and more, as always, in the studios, I've been joined by senior analyst Farrukh Pitafi and Raja Faisal, and we've also been joined online by senior political analyst Brigadier Nawaz. Thank you very much, Brigadier Saab, for joining us and for being part of the debate. As always, it's a pleasure having you, and of course, it'll be wonderful to speak to you more about that. But Faisal, I'm just going to quickly take your opinion first before going to Brigadier Saab, with reference to, of course, the kind of reports that have come in just in the aftermath of this attack in Pahalgam, in which the tourists were targeted, unfortunately, and lost their lives. We now see a number of decisions and factors coming in, most important of which is the Indus Water Treaty. And I want your take on that in terms of what that means and how India can make such a decision and the impact of that.
Yes, and obviously when we talk about the Indus Water Treaty, of course, in recent times, we have been highlighting this aspect that India has always tried to utilize every possibility in terms of course, giving loss to Pakistan. When it comes to water treaty between Pakistan and India, it was guarantor was, of course, World Bank, and now India wants to erupt water terrorism over Pakistan, and of course they have cancelled it, and of course they are looking for the reasons to warmonger against Pakistan. So far, of course, I have been going to Indian shows, and I have been watching other Indian shows as well. Only one sentiment we can assess from there, and that is that they want the war. They're warmongering individuals and the groups. They are sitting over 24/7, and they are trying to bring both of the countries to a brink of war, and they are forgetting that both of the countries, they are nuclear powers, and when it comes to, of course, waging a war between both of them, as we are seeing that Modi is coming up with these kind of solutions, of course they want Pakistan to react to it. So far, of course, the first of all, the Indus Water Treaty, that is the number one which they are coming up with, and the second one which they are coming up with is that they want to, of course, attack certain locations within Pakistan, and they want to cross into line of control. And of course, Pakistan is not asleep. Pakistan is awake as ever. Pakistan's military forces are awake as ever, and whatever the steps will be taken from the Indian side, of course, they will be reciprocated with whatever the might is required to reciprocate, like we did back in February 2019. It's February 2019 like situation in which they are seeking a sort of resolve to it, and the only resolve they are looking at is that they want to, of course, wage a war against Pakistan. And I think sanity must prevail. This is something, whatever has happened in Pahalgam, it has nothing to do with Pakistan. Whatever has happened out there, it seems like a false flag attack, as we know that India is known for, be it Pulwama, be it Uri, be it all of the steps which they have been taking, or attacks they have been taking in past. All of them, they were having the footprints of Indian intelligence and Indian establishment. This another one, a false flag, and on the basis of this false flag attack, they want to malign Pakistan. They want to, of course, go against Pakistan. So be it like this. Of course, it is up to the powerful nations throughout the world. Right now, of course, they must have been, looking into it, and I'm pretty much sure that their intelligence agencies would be, of course, probing whatever has happened here. And so far, they would have been reaching to conclusions related to whatever India has done within Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And we are just waiting for sanity to prevail. If sanity doesn't prevail, of course, Pakistan has every right to respond to any country whoever comes towards Pakistan. We know Pakistan replied to other nations as well whenever they have been coming towards Pakistan. And once India came towards Pakistan back in February 2019, of course, the resolve was there. A reply was given to India at that time. This time around, if there is a misadventure which is being planned by the Indian side, of course, it would be no different to February 2019 once more. Our security forces, they are battle hardened, and they are always, of course, on the borders. They are of course, making sure that all of the borders are secure enough for Pakistan. But if somebody is trying to, of course, challenge them, there will be a befitting reply from our side.
Right. Let us also welcome in the debate Bilal Sufi, a senior lawyer who's just joined us online. Thank you very much, Bilal, for joining us. And I want your take with reference to particularly the Indus Water Treaty and the ways in which this violation is possible or not, and the options that Pakistan has in terms of contesting it.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. Whatever India has done through its public official statement, which is being circulated, regrettably is in violation of international law. There is no provision for holding in abeyance a bilateral treaty under the Indus Water Treaty. Neither is there such a provision under international law to hold a treaty in abeyance. Such acts are viewed as acts of hostility under international law when you suspend a treaty. But we have to wait to assess if India is also making any proactive measures on ground to divert or to obstruct the water flow, which I'm told will take a while. It is not easy. But all said and done, the point is that the legal incidence of holding a treaty in abeyance and declaring it so is a serious development from an international law standpoint. We have a state practice in this region, in subcontinent, where various rivers pass through various territories of SAARC countries, and some countries are low riparian and the others are upper. Setting up a precedent of this nature in the subcontinent is dangerous, and that is going to open a possibility of similar treatment by other countries, including the ones who are on the upper riparian, like China, like Nepal, and any other countries. So I think this is a very extreme action, and that too in violation of international law that has been attempted by Indian side. They may be unhappy about what has happened. The other measures that they have taken are more in conformity with the broad measures which are taken in situations of this nature. But suspending a water treaty on which the right of livelihood depends is very rare. Therefore, I think this matter needs to be taken by Pakistan to global forums, whichever forum, is appropriate. To me, the most appropriate forum is the UN Security Council, the UN Secretary General's office, and the UN General Assembly. And within the Security Council, at both levels, at the level of the UN Security Council in Counterterrorism Committee, and in addition to CTC, Pakistan should also take this matter to the General Council itself, while also addressing a specific note which should be hand carried by Pakistan's permanent representative to the Secretary General.
Right. Emir Sahab, I want your take also in terms of what you've laid out for us in terms of what is possible and the options in terms of this violation. And I understand what Pakistan should be doing diplomatically and the kind of platforms it should be utilizing. But we've seen back in 2019 also the unilateral actions taken in the occupied valley, for example, and they were also in serious violation of international law and norms. But we have seen that has happened. So many years have passed, and that too without consequence. So I want your take on how much of an actual benefit will be in raising this on these platforms, and when we take a look at the practical manifestations of this violation, what then will Pakistan do?
I think it entirely depends on the seriousness that Pakistan demonstrates before international forums and how much it wishes to pursue its cause. The one that you're referring to in 2019, I think we did not perform as well as we should. We should have done much better in terms of following up the incidents of 5th August 2019. That presidential order was again in violation of the Constitution of India. It was in violation of the Shimla Agreement. It was in violation of the law laid down by the UN Security Council. And we chose not to pursue it as we should. So I would not link outcome or absence of outcome to inaction of the global powers. I will partially link it to our inability to pursue. So therefore, in this case, I would urge the government and all the departments in the government to take this development extremely seriously and to take measures which are permissible under international law. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emir Sufi, for joining us and being a part of the discussion. We'll go now to Brigadier Haraz, who's also joined us in the debate. Brigadier Sahab, I want your take on the ways in which you're looking at this, particularly in the aftermath of Pahalgam, of course, and then with this very serious violations, as we were discussing with Emir Sahab as well, is of course a very blatant violation of any sort of understanding or international norms. And so I want your take in terms of the way that impacts our bilateral relationship, our regional stance, and the kind of actions that Pakistan will now have to consider.
Sana, the point is, I think from yesterday onward, I was very clear that it is all pre-planned and all actions had been worked out, and now they are releasing one by one. Because it happened at 3 o'clock, at 3:05, they had decided that Pakistan has done it without any proof, without any investigation, without any inquiry, without audio, video, any proof. They labeled a neighboring Islamic nuclear country. And that is what they were trying. And then within 2-3 hours, the entire social media and 500 tweets from raw accounts, same text was released. That means India had planned all, because I am convinced line of control to this place, Pahalgam, is 400 kilometers. Indian uniformed people, can they go there? No Kashmiri woman, old, young men saw them. What happened there? Not a bullet was fired. No casualty was shown. No dead was shown. No terrorists was shown. And without anything, they believe that is done by Pakistan. One, had we taken a very strong action on Jafar Express, if we had been very tough, we not used a major response, we would have blamed and kicked out Indians, this all सरकारी इनके जो लोग थे उनको सबको, then that was the time we should have done it. All their ambassadors, then they should have been sent back. We have no relation with them. Neither we talk to them, neither we have any trade, and they are always creating terrorism in Pakistan, potential terrorism. So it is better, we should behave like a nuclear Islamic country. and we should behave like a strong nuclear country. We have never behaved like that. I think this is the time we have to behave now and at par and national sovereign country with Indian. That is the language Hindu mentality understands. The more you're strong, the more they do Ram Ram. The more you show weakness, they start mounting on you. That is what they have done it. They do, don't they know that it's an international treaty, Indus treaty, and the World Bank is a guarantor. You cannot suspend unilaterally. It has to be with the agreement of both the countries. Both if agreed, only then it can be done. And then you have to redraft. And I think for this, Pakistan has to be taking very strong measures. I wish tomorrow there is a National Security Committee meeting where I'm sure Services Chief, Chairman, Joint Chief of Staff Committee, Prime Minister of Pakistan, Foreign Minister, different ministers, everybody will be there. They will carry a lot of deliberation, but response should be very strong. We should not be going now for mere response. We have to tell them in case of any misadventure what we are going to do with them. It will not last time. We left, we fired warning shots and we did not cause any damage. Now from where the missiles come or aircraft take off, within minutes that area should be with lot of fumes and fire and smoke coming up from there. That should be done because they know it. Our missile technology is the most modern. Every inch of Indian territory is in their range. Our army is battle hardened. And along with the Indian army is untrained, unprofessional, can only kill innocent Kashmiris. And that's all they can do it. Their troops, they don't have confidence in their leadership. The way Chief Army Staff addressed in overseas Pakistani and he talks about Kashmir, that is the problem. It has hit them in the back. And now the message is, if you do anything, this time we will go and enter in territory. And it is not a narrative. It is the strength and azm of the whole nation. Let's be very clear about it. Pakistan immediately should take confidence into Russia, China, Iran, Pakistan, Turkey, Islamic countries, Americans. We must talk to them immediately. We must tell them what is going to be happening in this region if the Indian does any misadventure. And then the fallouts are going to be the whole globally also. Because it's not an ordinary country, Pakistan. They must understand, they should know. We have been always behaving very apologetically, not now. They are taking advantage of this. If had we taken Jafar Express time very strong actions, I think they would have got the message. So that is what is happening. No, I think this is the time we have to be very clear. And I personally feel we should just move the complete diplomatic peoples to India. We don't want any relationship with them. Een ka jawab patthar. That is what we should do it now. It is enough. We should not take it more.
Right. And Farrukh, I want your take on that as well, because we have spoken about a lot of times in the ways that we're looking at this relationship, and I understand the kind of serious violations and actions that have taken place, and we've taken this to different platforms as a country, talking about the kind of evidence that we had towards state-sponsored terrorism and what the BJP government has been doing. But regardless, we've also spoken to a lot of our guests and ambassadors as well that have talked about how diplomatic channels are essential as well. And so I want your take on what really are the stakes here, and how is Pakistan going to navigate both the diplomatic channels and the kind of actions that Brigadier Saab is pointing towards?
Right, Sana, thank you very much for the question. First of all, I was looking at the way India has reacted so far. And you might see that there has been a progression in their series of escalation, right? In 2019 or before that, at the time of Uri, they went for this so-called surgical strike. But at that time, that was a very lukewarm kind of, jingoism that we saw. Then in 2019, the escalation started from a step further, and they very quickly started moving forward. And this time it has further escalated, and they have actually started talking about, actually conducted things that they were so far actually only brandishing for quite some time, right? Like this Indus water treaty issue and so many, and severing of the diplomatic relations too. Now the question is, why would that be? And to understand that, you'll have to look at where Indian government, Indian intelligentsia take their inspiration from. And that is Chanakya's or Chandragupta Maurya's times book called Arthashastra. Arthashastra is particularly about realpolitik and how to expand power. And one of the key tenets in the whole Chandragupta Chanakya story is what is called rice bowl stratagem, and that is to keep on attacking the peripheries and to demoralize the heartland while simultaneously maneuvering certain things within the heartland also. Then you try to take over. And this is the kind of culmination of what I've been writing for 11 years. Since Narendra Modi came to power, I've been pointing out what they stand for, what they plan to do, how their intelligence community views Pakistan, and what their designs are. And repeatedly, by the way, just Google my name and with the word India, and you will see truckload of articles on this matter. And repeatedly, I've been ahead of the curve. Now the point is, all those people who were repeatedly in private or elsewhere telling us that if BJP comes to power or returns to power, there is going to be peace between the two countries, they should take a bow. It is a proud moment for them, because now we are once again seeing the similar kind of stupidity coming from India that is characteristic of this government that keeps repeating itself. Now the question right now is, where else will they go? And this time, because escalation has started from a farther point, because they have taken certain steps which are before you, right? That means that they might actually want to go for jump big and try to do something even sillier. And there is, of course, a limit to Pakistan's restraint. Pakistan showed restraint at the time of so-called surgical strike and so-called aerial strikes. This time, it might escalate into something which is beyond anybody's imagination, or maybe India's imagination, but they think they can control the outcome, but they won't be able to. And that is sad moment in our collective history, because this was never the idea of the founders of either of the countries, right? And then that means that you can be looking at a possibility of a proper war, and that is a concern. But no matter what happens in coming days, we are going to fight the way brave people fight, and we have been fighting it throughout our history. Secondly, those people who actually might be working in cahoots with the enemy, they should know that even their own children will not like to carry their name, and they will really be facing the music.
Right, but with regards to whether or not diplomatic channels will be the answer at the moment, what's your take on that?
Do you think there is any diplomatic channel left?
I'm asking you.
No, my question is, what channel? I mean, India, Pakistan have severed. India has declared, asked all Pakistanis to leave India, including diplomatic mission, right? So if there is no channel existing, how are you going to actually use that?
Faisal,
of course, Pakistan.
Yes.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, carry on. I thought you're done.
No.
Right, Faisal, I want your take on the international channels then, or international platforms then. Is that an option for us?
Yes, it is an option for us, and I was listening to Brigadier Haris Nawaz earlier, and he has rightly pointed out that countries like Russia and countries like China, countries like Turkey, countries like Middle Eastern countries, and US as well, they can play a pivotal role. We shouldn't be forgetting that this time around they have conducted this false flag attack at a time when it had couple of importances, geopolitical importances for India. Number one, they had a vice presidential visit from the US, and we know that J.D. Vance, he was in India at that time, and Modi ji, he was in Saudi Arabia. Both of these countries, Saudi Arabia and US, they are our allies against the terrorism. They know us very well. They know that we have been fighting against this menace since a long time, and they know very well, and we have shared time and again with them the dossiers about how India has been facilitating and financing terrorism within Pakistan, and they know it very well. And both of these countries, what the Indians wanted this time to happen is that while they are engaged with both of these countries, then they can show it to them that this is what Pakistan is doing. Although it has nothing to do with Pakistan, the stretch from LOC to this particular place is 400 kilometers away, and it is humanly impossible for any people to cross LOC and go to that position. Why I say this? Because this is most militarized zone of the world which we are talking about, because we shouldn't be forgetting that there are more than 900,000 troops, Indian troops, positioned from LOC to the whole Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. What does it suggest? That only people who can know about this and who can be involved in this and who can stage this kind of thing is all about the Indian military itself. Maybe that's why they have gone for a naval officer of their own to make it look like real, but it has nothing to do with reality. They just wanted to play the gallery, and they have played the gallery in Saudi Arabia, and they have played the gallery with the JD Vance as well, and right now of course they are playing on it. But at the same time, to me, I think US knows the realities, Saudi Arabia, they know the reality, rest of the Middle Eastern countries, they know the reality, Turkey knows the reality, and when it comes to China itself and Russia itself, both of them, they know the realities, and I think they will be playing their role.
Right. Brigadier Sahab, I want your perspective on this as well, given, of course, Pakistan's own actions and responses. But in terms of the way that regional and international players and the role that they have in this regard, what do you think Pakistan can really look forward to in that sense?
You see, all channels should remain open. We should have our own preparations at all ministerial levels and prime minister and military level on, and diplomatic channels will remain open, international, not with Indians. Because through satellite, everybody knows that how this was executed. It was all false flag. It was all stage drama. It was choreographed by them, but they were miserably failed. Through satellite, USA, European Union, Russia, China, all know it, what is happening. If they look other side, that's the other story. Number two, Pakistan should immediately tomorrow call all ambassadors in Islamabad by our Foreign Office and Interior Minister. They must tell what India is doing. What India had no proof whatsoever. How can you find within 5 minutes that Pakistan has done all this? And then you use all social media and Indian media. They kept requesting me to come on TV. I didn't go. I didn't feel like going over there. So we must tell them what is the consequences in this region and globally, what Pakistan can do, and we will not this time be very, very polite with major response. No. Last time we fired warning shots when the Chief Army Staff was chatting, but not this time. Wherever the missile comes, aircraft comes, you will see things getting into ashes. I am convinced. And Chief Army Staff, I think he is very aggressive and professional, and the whole nation should stand. The only thing is the whole nation should give one voice, that Pakistan first, Pakistan hai to hum hai, and that's all. 25 crore people with nuclear arms, best of Israel technology. Nobody should dare looking towards Pakistan. No conventional war. Because when you choke your water, when you choke your arteries or you choke your neck, you behave violently, because that is a question of life and death. And that is what Indian must be conveyed, told. Because when General Zia was there and Indians were trying to attack Pakistan 87, 89, right? Pakistan told Rajiv Gandhi that there is only one Hindu country, and that is India. Musalman are all spread over the world. Musalman is not finished, but Hindustan will finish. And spoon dropped from his hand. Let me tell you. This is the language understand. Because now we should behave like strong nation. We are very resilient calm, we are battle hardened, we know everything what to do. And somebody asked in journalists, can you fight with Pakistan? They said, no, we cannot fight with Pakistan. Pakistanis want shahadat and we want to live. How can we fight with Pakistanis? This is the true essence of Pakistani, the Musliman, just by shahadat. We never think, I know my soldiers. When the bullet is fired, their thinking is totally changed. They don't look back. They look toward enemy because the nation is behind them. You fight as a nation. That is the lesson we have to tell them. And tomorrow, our national security team should give a very clear message. Our joint session should give us clear message. And diplomatic channel all should be used, conveying all these things to the entire world and our ambassadors in Islamabad. I think that is the language they will understand. The moment you say show weakness, they will start mounting. The way you take danda in your hand, they will do ram ram. This is the language they should understand, and we should make them understand this time. It is enough is enough.
I want your take also in terms of the way the different countries are going to be taking a look at the situation and how much of that, even if the evidence says and is very clear of what has happened, how much of their stakes will actually be involved, or what sort of stance will they actually take in terms of tangible action. And after that, what Brigadier Saab was saying in terms of the language that the Indians understand, how do we go about with the situation without possibilities of escalation or possibilities of something which is going to be an untoward direction?
Right. Once again, thank you very much, Sana. Regarding, reaction of the international bodies, other countries, one thing is for sure, India actually picks their moments whenever there is a kind of transition going on in the international order. They carry on similar kind of things. For example, in 2019, it was John Bolton, who was America's national security advisor, a card-carrying Indophile. And this time, again, at this moment, it seems that the UN and International Committee itself is under a lot of pressure because of the changes that are coming. So I see only limitations to whatever the international bodies can do. Now, regarding various countries, I think one country that is very important, of course, always plays a role is America. America does not make public statements taking sides, but usually, whenever they actually make statements, they are usually about restraint. But behind the scenes, we have seen from Condoleezza Rice to John Bolton and others, that there was very active, measures being taken to stabilize this situation. So that will continue. But that doesn't mean that Narendra Modi's government doesn't keep on pushing boundaries. They have normalized a lot of things that we could not even think of 10 years ago. Similarly, when it comes to our Muslim brethren, naturally there is going to be moral support, and on the matter of Kashmir, on the issue of Kashmir, of course, OIC has one voice and there is a stated position, but we still have to wait and see how India is actually going to escalate this further, because of course they are going to go for, or they are going to try to go for some kind of kinetic measures. So when that comes, we'll see what kind of reaction comes from elsewhere. But in the end, because the world order has changed, it is what it is, and every country is on its own. So naturally, regarding what Brigadier Sahab was saying, of course, the word Hindu can be, misinterpreted in this context. We have Hindus in Pakistan also, they are our brothers. So I would rather point to the distinction that is Hindutva rather than Hindu. And Hindutva politics has always been politics of bullying, and bullies are usually cowards. If you have the kind of capacity to deter them, they immediately turn the other cheek. We have seen what they have done with China, because China proved repeatedly at Galwan elsewhere that it is the superior power, or it has better morale. They immediately change their tune and then regardless of what they've kept on trying or conspiring to ban Chinese products and all that in the world, but then they had to actually beat a retreat when it came to Galwan and other places like that. So what Pakistan needs to do, and I totally agree that we need focus of command, we need support for our leadership, and we need to be behaving like one nation, and we should know that this kind of threat or crisis is being imposed on Pakistan. Pakistan never started it, but when it comes to, and I'm sure that when it comes to this kind of threat, all Pakistanis are united and they are going to speak with one voice, and you will keep on seeing that voice get louder and louder in coming days, because whatever India is doing, it is up to no good.
Right. Faisal, with regards to, of course, the ways that we have actually talked about this before on different platforms and talked about the evidence regarding false propaganda and the kind of misinformation that is, of course, spread within India. And of course, we've seen even now the kind of reports and the kind of false news that is being circulated through Indian media and Indian channels. And so I want your take, while we, of course, have this response at a more strategic or state level, I also want your take in terms of the way that these narratives, especially in the way that it's actually being consumed by the international audience, is being looked at by Pakistan, and how do we actually engage with that and then counter it?
Yes, Sana, obviously when we talk about the Indian narrative shaping, of course, as Brigadier Harris has rightly pointed out, this, yesterday 3 o'clock it takes place, and at exactly 5 minutes later on, every channel they had started talking about it, that it is Pakistan behind it. Why? Because Shrivastava group sitting behind them, they had already given them the directions how to play with it, because this was part of the plan that as soon as this false flag attack is being conducted by RAW, at the same time, of course, Shrivastava group would be, making its propaganda going across the globe, and that's what they did. And this is how they have shaped the narrative. And when it comes to engaging with the rest of the world on the social media, they have been, time and again proving that they have the numbers and they have the mechanisms through which they can, of course, they can promote their propagandas throughout the world. When it comes to this particular episode, of course, since yesterday they have been doing, and to some extent it has been received from the Western world as well. But now when they are seeing the counters, when they are seeing that Pakistan is seeking a probe of this particular incident and many more false flag attacks which were conducted by Indian establishment before, and there is no answer from the Indian establishment. Reason being, they just want to bully Pakistan, and they want to bully the rest of the world as well when it comes to with their own narratives, with their own language, with their own lies, because they don't want to accept the truth. The truth is that it was a false flag attack, and that's it. That is the only why they don't want the rest of the world to know about it. That is the only why they have never allowed the international media to get to Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And what have been seen since yesterday, that there were two different incidents in which they have taken up Kashmiri youth, and they have, of course, made their encounters happen. And later on, of course, they were claiming that these were the people who were, of course, crossing in from the LOC, and they were actually, gunned down by their own security forces. This is not the case. These were merely the innocent Kashmiri youth who've been picked up by them, and then they were extrajudicially murdered by Indian rogue military, and now they are claiming as if it has anything to do, or they had anything to do with the resistance movement, or as they are claiming that these were the terrorists who wanted to, of course, do activities against against all of these tourists. This has nothing to do with that. Now they just wanted to have a license to conduct more and more activities against the Kashmiri youth, innocent Kashmiri youth, and in coming days we will be seeing that they will be conducting more and more raids on the Kashmiri youth. Why? Because Kashmiri youth is not standing with them. They are seeking they are seeking freedom for them, and they are running their own resistance movement, and they just want to portray their movement with these kind of false flag attacks, that their resistance movement is a rogue movement, whereas it has nothing to do with them. This false flag attack which was conducted this time around, it has everything to do with India, and they just want to malign Pakistan, they just want to malign the resistance movement of Kashmiris.
Right, Brigadier Sahab, I want your take on this as well, given of course the way that it's of course impacting this resistance movement and the way that it's being looked at internationally as well. While Pakistan has of course put forward this front, in the ways that we are going to be engaging with the UN Security Council, for example, in the ways that we've already sent dossiers, how is it that we're going to be balancing that out with the kind of measures that we're going to take or are planning to take with reference to the diplomatic channels or the kind of reactions to India's measures?
Way Farrukh said, definitely all Hindus are not extremists, and Pakistani Hindus, of course, they are Pakistanis like Pakistani Muslims. Even Indian Muslim Hindus are a lot of there who are moderate. They don't believe in ideology of RRS. I'm talking about RRS Hindus who believe in the Akhand Bharat. One. Number two, another one thing I want to tell is India is thinking the way Israel behaving with Palestinians. Maybe they think Pakistan, they will be behaving like Pakistan is a Palestinian country with no armed forces. They don't forgotten it's a nuclear sovereign state, better than army. So take out your mind anything which you have wrong notions. Number two, Pakistan must use all international diplomatic channels. We have a government of Pakistan, foreign office, and we have a United Nations representative over there. Everybody has to use their own best offices to put pressure on the United Nations, particularly 15 members who are permanent, 5 permanent, 10 non-permanent members. We must tell them what is going to happen. China can at least ask the United Nations immediate, they have to get together over there. They should put the forward United Nations for any session. That is important. And also, but Pakistan, our Security Committee and our public representatives, these assemblies and Senate, they have to show their resilience. There should go a message as a nation what Pakistan wants. We will not accept any misadventure. It will be met very violently. But all diplomatic channels should be opened. Our ambassadors all over the world should go in their toss through Foreign Office directive. And Islamabad ambassadors have to be briefed what India is doing, why India is doing. Had we done strong action on Jaffa Express train or 35 when they revoked 370 and 35A, or when they crossed the border, this line, and we still left them with lukewarm response, I think they took it as our weakness. And now we have to show them our eyes, and that is what the language they understand.
Thank you very much, Brigadier Harris, for joining us and being a part of the debate. We're going to be taking a short break and we'll continue our discussion after that.